Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another RSCast. It is the Week 9 recap. We are at the final week of the season. We've finished, we're all over and done with. We've got play-ins now, the brackets are determined, and here with me to discuss them is Barmanitan and Buddha.
It's great to be here again. Probably another week of getting made fun of for pronunciations, and probably the last week about Fearless Alpha. But I'm ready. I'm ready for the insults. But either way, should be a fun time, especially with the extra stuff we're doing today.
Yeah, one more week of Fearless Alpha jokes to put up with because I'm not convinced they'll be involved in any playoff matches.
I don't know what you mean. Top seed.
Yep, Fearless Alpha did have the worst history in RSC, but Buddha did just set a world record for quickest poo, so take of it as you will. Buddha's had a good season. Four play-ins himself as well. So
exactly, I'm here for world records. That's all I'm here for. Doesn't matter what it is, just world records.
Yeah, but we will go straight into the Prospect Weekly Review. And Buddha, we'll come to you first. You picked out Orbit this week.
Yes, I mean Orbit. This has been an impressive team in this last few weeks. As I've said many times, week after week, the first half of the season, they weren't obviously looking the best. They were kind of a mid-table team, maybe looking to be at that bottom playing position. But recently, they've really been shooting up, and a 7-1 week for them is really good. Obviously, they get that 3-1 onto Limousine. Yeah.
Yep.
No. Yes, let's go.
He's
That's
already started with his team pronunciations.
And obviously they got that sweep onto Micah Faction as well. Obviously on paper, Micah Faction are a pretty low table team, but it is a cross conference game, and for Orbit this kind of solidifies, can they easily take those games onto the lower teams, especially heading into the play-ins. Orbit, they're looking like a strong team for the play-ins so far.
Yeah, and the next one you picked out as well, but Hot Metal, same 7-1.
Yeah, Hot Metal. Last few weeks probably not the best results. Obviously, they did get that forfeit onto Digesters, but that's not the reason why I picked them out. It was the 3-1 onto Terra. These are two teams who have been always around that mid-table section, and I think Hot Metal finding this victory onto Terra kind of separates Hot Metal from the kind of the bottom half of the playing positions, and I think it really shows that they have what it takes to go through that playing run. It's just all down to their day performance if they can take out those top teams. But Hot Metal, they're showing that the teams below them is no problem for them.
Yeah, indeed, and we'll come to you, Barmanitan. I have just glimpsed at Week 7 results. That tells me someone didn't triple check graphics while I was working today. I won't mention any names, but Barman, we'll come to you. Prelude 4-0 versus Fearless Bravo, and you've got a good little stat coming into play-ins with them.
Indeed, that one was a streamed match, and Prelude were just all over Bravo, and it means Bravo go into play-ins having lost 3 in a row, and they haven't won a match in 5 games, so not looking good for them going into it. And I think their last 2 matches have been sweeps as well, so they did not look at all confident. They were playing with their sub, Tubby Custard, so maybe there's hope that if they do get the availability coming in for these matches on Tuesday and Wednesday, they might have a chance, but on this sort of form, it's not looking good, and Prelude, on the other hand, are going in with a lot more confidence, having forward Fearless Bravo. I mean, maybe not so much. They lose to Overturn, a team that didn't even make play-in, so things to work on for all teams all round.
I mean, we said Fearless Bravo played with a sub, but so did Prelude. It was one of the lowest subs in the league, and he popped off.
It's true. Dharma, yeah, he did very well. Got the interview, and yeah, he was very excited to go into playoffs and get that result.
Yeah, but speaking of popping off, we can only go to the Cardinals next. They did secure first place. And bam, 2-2 versus Oberon with 2 overtimes and another 4-0, I think, to top the group.
Yeah, they needed, I think, 1 win in that last game against Bing to overtake Kindling again. They got it, and that 2-2 draw against Oberon certainly helped. Oberon are coming in on a hot streak of their own. They seem to just be tearing through everyone at the moment. They did have to settle for third in the end, but 2-2 against Cardinals is a very reassuring result. 2 OTs, they're really close matches, and Cardinals really had to play to their best. That one against Bing, not an easy match either. We also saw Bing beat Exelon, so teams trading wins all around, and Bing dragging Exelon down to 5th with that win against them. So Bing were not an easy win either, and yet Cardinals still got that 4-0 victory.
Yeah, indeed. And the final team we'll talk about is Exelon. They went 3-5, and all of a sudden it went from second in the league and they've dropped to fifth in seeding. Buddha, we'll go to you.
Yeah, obviously 3-5. It's not a terrible week, but I could only expect that the team probably expected a little bit of a better week. Maybe even you yourself, Archeon. But it's just the last few weeks. It's kind of just probably not been at the highest expectations that people expect them to be. And I think it's going to be tough for them going into play-ins, just because they're not really getting the results they're expected as well. As of for some people, a 2-2 on Tartarus, probably not a terrible result. That is a good mid-table team. But losing to Bing, I mean that kind of what catches my eye out. Obviously, Bing, they have a good roster. They have Endrick, probably the star player that people would say, but I would probably say Exxon would probably be a more consistent team on paper. So, I definitely expect even a draw minimum coming into that. But I think for Exelon, it's just going to be a little bit of a tough one for play-ins. I think they're just going to probably bring it together a little bit. But obviously, you can't count them out. They are a good side. But, it's just heading into play-ins, having a kind of a rough couple of weeks. It's going to kind of affect play-ins a little bit unless they can, reset that mental.
Yeah, you don't say count them out, but we will get to the brackets later on where we will be predicting where they come. But this is where these teams came, bar Manitan, in the table. What can you tell us about the final standings?
Yeah, only one movement as we talked about Tartarus getting over Exelon. And you do have to look at Oberon. They were climbing up and it sort of coincided with Kindling's drop in form. They seemed to be flawless for the first half of the season. It dropped off a bit after that. Cardinals overtook them, and they managed to hold on just about before Oberon leapfrogged them as well. And maybe that was due to getting the Pengu sub games out of the way, so JPEG, Soren, and Killer Goose could shine to their true potential. And they get second place at the bottom of the playing spots. Bing, they just about hold on. They were challenging a bit more before the last couple of weeks, but in the end of it, they're 5 behind Exelon in 5th. And a full 10 behind Kindling in second. So they definitely dropped off a bit. They get that win against Exelon to at least head in with some sort of form, and they'll have to hope they bring confidence from that. And at the bottom, Gemini Storm, Micah Faction, Caro, they close it out. Gemini Storm get a few more wins to make sure they finish 7th and don't get that not so desirable bottom of the table finish.
Yeah, the rise of Oberon and Tartaros in the last few weeks was synonymous, but we can say safely that 7th, 8th, and 9th did look predetermined in the final 4 to 5 weeks. It did look like that was going to be the top 6. But we head to the Ignis conference now, Buddha, and tell us what happened over on this side.
Or as you can see, Majors and Prelude, they do take your first and second spot. Obviously, same again, not a lot of movement. It will just be Hot Metal taking over Terra. Obviously, Terra stepped down a little bit after that 3-1 loss. That was onto Hot Metal, so definitely did play a part in the standings. But Orbit, just them being third, just weeks ago, they were down at the bottom of play-ins, as I mentioned earlier. It's just great to see Orbit up there. Obviously, see Fearless Bravo in 6th, obviously 7 ahead of Overturn, and obviously Limousine in 20, and Digesters on 17. I mean, this bottom 2 was already decided in the last couple of weeks, especially for Digestives, especially due to obviously the amount of forfeits that we saw, just due to roster issues. But Overturn, this was a team heading into the last week that could have made playoffs if they had a good week. You could say Bravo did get a bit lucky as well with that 4-0 forfeit, but either way, Overturn, they just didn't quite get the results anyway, so it didn't really change too much. But this is your final 9. I mean, it's a pretty good standings, There's some teams here who we predicted higher, but they did fall short quite a lot lower, to be honest.
Yeah, there's some teams that were absolutely spot on as well. I think Bravo was the one that we got wrong the most.
Yeah.
I think we predicted them to be second. And to be fair to Shades, he looked like he was going to get there at one point, but it just seemed to tail off towards the end of the season. But we'll head to Challenger now. And we'll start off with you, Bar Manitan. And you picked out the Party Rings game versus Apprentice first.
Yeah, it was one that pretty much cemented Party Rings' playing spot and pretty much spelled the end for Apprentices, my team. It was a pretty disastrous match for us. Wasn't much going forward. I think we only scored the 1 goal, so meant we needed a result against Chorus, which was never really going to happen considering how dominant Chorus have been. And yeah, it was a very sad match for us going into that one. So meant it decided at 4, and also that 4-0 from Neptunium on the satellite meant they fell the same fate as us, as they only needed 1 win from that to overtake Fearless Kilo, but Neptunium, they got the job done with their sub 0-0 to Donut coming in and denied Satellite any hopes of getting through the play-ins, and their playoff aspirations were firmly in the bin.
Yeah, party rings. That's the week you definitely want to go 7-1. Is the final week after a tumultuous. Is that the word? I forgot the word.
Tumultuous? There's a word in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's somewhere. But yeah, they've had an up and down few weeks, and they finally went 7-1 in the final week to secure the play-ins. But we head to Chorus versus Pyromancers, Barm, and we'll stick with Ignis. 3-1 goal games in this one between second and third.
Yeah, Pyromancers were always fighting. It seemed like a losing battle in the last few weeks, trying to get top two. But they certainly still proved their worth against them, even if they didn't have the exact results in order to catch them. So that 2-2 against Chorus, it's a really big result for them. 3-1 goal games. It's all really close, but they prove that they can still keep up with that sort of pressure, and definitely go into play-ins as one of the favourites to make a lower bracket run. And I don't think they should beat themselves up too much about this end of the season, because they've tried hard. They've nearly got there in the end. Neptunium, of course, just a little touch above, and it means they will have to fight their way through the play-ins against a couple teams. You know, we'll come to who plays who later, but yeah, it's a strong result for them.
Yeah, and sticking with you, but heading to Glaciers, Barm. The game that stood out and we picked out last week, Nezuko Gang 2, Yahoo 2.
Nezuko Gang there. We're looking to try and grab second. I think they did finish the last week in second, and in the end they lose out to Orcus, and this result has something to do about it. If they had have got a couple more wins here, Nezuko Gang could have threatened a bit more, and especially when they won the first two games in this series against Yahoo 4-0, and then Yahoo came back in games 3 and 4, won them both by 1 goal. You feel like Nezuko Gang really could have stormed to a win in that one, but wasn't to be. Yahoo prove why they are the number 1 seed going into playoffs from Glaciers, and they pull back the draw.
Yeah, it's also a good showing that you can pull back these results from behind, especially heading into playoffs. One result I do want to pick out that you picked out yourself was Scorn 4, Spark 0. I just want to shout out Marbs for the sportsmanship in this one. My little one hasn't been well for like the last 4 days. He was puking up constantly, and although I got a screenshot from a sub half an hour early, I posted it like 2 minutes later, and Marbs was completely fine with it. So thank you for that. But we head to Glaciers with you, Butter, and Crusaders 5-3 and Epsilon 4-4. I must say I watched the stream with Epsilon and they gave Yahoo a great showing.
Yeah, I mean, this was a great series to watch. Even though, you see it's a 3-1, I can tell everyone who didn't watch the series, every game was a 1 goal difference, and it was so close. It was so intense. There were some games where the goals didn't come in till like the last minute. There was OTs. It was a crazy series. But Epsilon, they did a really good job finding that 3-1 victory. After that result, you think, okay, this team's looking really strong going into the play-ins or, well, playoffs if they also got that position. But then you see that they lost 3-1 to Atlas, a team that not really been doing the best all season long. They'd not really been getting victories as much. But to lose 3-1 to Atlas is definitely a questionable kind of future for, say, in the play-ins for Epsilon. But we know they're a strong team, so I'm sure they can rebuild from that. Obviously, Crusaders going 5-3. I mean, last week we said about how Crusaders and Spark, that was the match to watch out for, which was a 2-2. But obviously, Spark in this position, probably looking for that sweep onto Crusaders, which would have got them into play-ins if they got that sweep. But maybe even a 3-1, depending on the other result, if it was any other different. But either way, Crusaders, they did a good job, just holding that 6th position in play-ins, and they get that victory as well on Atlas that Epsilon couldn't quite do.
Yeah, and although Orcus got a forfeit against Parthenage, we have to mention that I think they were the only team that went 8-0 in this tier, and they also got Senji a 31-9 week, and obviously we all know Senji. He's had his ups and downs as a GM, but this season's definitely been an up, and a 31-9 week is definitely nothing to be ashamed of.
Nah, I think that's something I'm nowhere near to do yet. So Senji, credit to you, my man.
Another fun stat: Orcus, the only team in Prospect Challenger or Minor to have been bottom 3 at some point. They were 8th in week 1 and the only team to get into a playoff spot. So massive comeback from them in that sense as well.
That's impressive.
Yeah, if you ever need some stats to look over, Barmanitan is always in league discussion with his fancy new stats and sheets where But he compares the whole season, so if you go into that channel, you'll see it all there. We'll head to Challenger Gleecy's standings bar Manitan, and we've already spoke about Orcus cementing the place in second, which took Nezuko out of it.
Yeah, they do jump over in the last week and get that spot. The forfeit definitely helps, but still had to perform in the other match that they had against Masai, bottom of the table team, but still potential for an upset there. So they do join the playoff bracket with Yahoo and the two teams from Ignis and Chorus and Neptunian, which I'm sure they'll be very happy about. And they were talking in league discussion. There were many discussions about Challenger here and who was going to get these two spots from Glacies. And Orcus were confident because of their schedule, because they knew they were going up against Masai and the Parthenay team who have been bottom all season. They felt that they could get the top two spot, and it proves to be that way as Nezuko Gang scoring. Maybe faced a few harder opponents in the last few weeks and means they have to drop a few more games. I mean, Nezuko Gang playing Yahoo, definitely a tougher opponent there. And looking further down, scoring, they got that 4-0 over Spark to grab fourth from Epsilon as Epsilon lose to Atlas. So it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter too much. It's just about that confidence and about your seed, maybe. You as Victor said, that the quote unquote better matchup if you do get higher in the standings in the seeding round. So yeah, that's good for scoring, and of course Crusaders just pipping out Spark. It was a draw between them, but you felt Spark had to get a bit more considering Crusaders were going to be playing Atlas and Spark faced a much tougher matchup in scoring.
Yeah, definitely. It was a very close match. As I said, my baby was puking at the time, but I had it on screen share, cheering my team on, and it was very close, especially with a PFA playing, but they very much clutched up to get the seeding on their side. We head to Ignis now, buddy. And what can you tell us about this one? The top three has been set pretty much all season, hasn't it?
Yeah, there is your top three. Chorus number 1, Neptunium number 2, and Pyromancers being number 3. Overall, they hold that 4th place. And I mean, just below this, the movement here, these 4 teams have really been fighting it out in this last week. Before Party Ring sweep onto Apprentices, it was a 3-way tie on 28 wins. It was so close. It's just every single game really mattered as well. And I don't know how, but Fearless Kilos somehow have made play-ins. We went 1-7. And we had to rely on 3 results to get swept, and it somehow happened. The luck is in our favour, but Satellite, they are your team to just fall short. They get the tied wins onto Fearless Kilo, but they do lose that head-to-head down to the overall goal difference. And Apprentices, it's going to be very unfortunate not to see them in play-ins, just in the last week of league play. They were very close to jump into that play-in spot, but unfortunately did fall with those 2 0-4 losses. And obviously, Parthenais? No?
Parthenace.
Yeah, that team. They will be your 9th team. At least they got more wins of Fearless Alpha, so they're not the worst record. So congrats to them for getting the double digits that we couldn't do. But either way, will be your top 6 and obviously your bottom 3 teams who showed a lot of heart.
I mean, I was gonna wait until the minor standings say this, but doesn't this situation in Challenger Ignis just show how good RSC has been this season? I know you've got 66% of the admins on this cast each week at the moment. And yes, we're going to pat ourselves on the back. Yes, I think we got the clap spot on. But look at that. Like 4 teams fighting it out on the final game day. And a 1-7 week makes it. You just cannot write these storylines right now. And it's something we haven't seen in previous seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said this like many times, the format of RSC, it makes the end of league play so close and nearly any team can still be in it to win it. It's amazing to see.
Amazing to see indeed, but something else that's amazing is the week 7 results in Major. And we'll start with Ignis this time, and I'll come to you, Buddha, because we're usually second at the moment. Comet 7-1 and Montbelliard 2-6. Montbelliard really through some results in the last few weeks, because Comet have just come out of nowhere and took the playing spots from them. Montbelliard were 3rd at one point.
Yeah, Montbelliard is definitely a team that I know a lot of the minor players in this tier are kind of upset to see that this team aren't in the play-ins. Obviously, falling short in this week. They didn't 3-1 Journeyman, did they? Is that a graphic mistake? Or am I wrong?
What's that, sorry?
It says here that Montbelliard 3-1 Journeyman. I'm pretty sure it was the opposite, wasn't it?
I think they did, yeah. Montpellier
Did
won
they?
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
they had to sweep Uranum to go through, I think.
well, I'm blind. My apologies. Obviously to get that victory onto Journeyman, but losing to Overkill 3, not losing. I'm confused here. My brain has absolutely gone. Uranum, sorry, they're losing 3-1 to them. Obviously, a tough team to beat. Obviously, we've seen Uranum. Obviously, they've had some weeks where they've not really shown the best results, so it was definitely possible. But either way, Montbéliard is a team that is sad to see not going to the play-ins. But Comet, massively. This one I shouldn't choke up. Again, that 7-1 week, a 4-0 on Concerto is a really good result for them. And on their final result, getting that 3-1 onto Fierce Echo, a really good week for them. And I'm pretty sure they were out of the play-ins all season long, and I think this week just shot them into it. If I'm correct, Barman, I know you would correct me on this if I'm wrong.
What was it?
Comet were indeed 7th and 8th all season, and Montbéliard, as Bam has put here, was in a playing spot since week 2. So
yeah,
the tables really did turn in this final week. But Bam,
you have to look to that week 8 result as well, where Comet beat them. You know, that's what it all comes down to, really.
100%. There'll be a few people kicking themselves on Montbéliard in this final week, but we'll come over to Glacies, Barmanitan. What games have you picked out this week?
I mean, the results that have come out of Glacies have created a 3-way tie in the standings, so there were a lot of things that needed to happen for that result to occur. So, you know, you're looking at Safari versus Hydra going 2-all. It's two upper half teams going at it, and you know, eventually Hydra, despite only getting 4-all week, they still grab the second spot, and you know, somewhat down to Arena Tribe beating Yoruba despite Pulse's 8 goals for Yoruba. They still can't get a result there, and it means Yoruba, who were challenging for top 2, will not finish quite as close as they wanted to, and it's just chaos. Hydra drawing with Prominence just about beat out Ember, who drew against a Rebos, and you know, a Rebos's best week despite being out since like week 6 or something. They get their first win of the season in a sweep against Vanguards, and it's just chaos everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll look at the chaos in the standings, and it's definitely been chaos in this conference all season. The fact that Toxin finished first with 9 draws in the season just shows how close this tier has been. But Buddha, what can you tell us about the final standings, especially with Hydra winning that 3-way head-to-head?
I mean, a 3-way head-to-head, you know, this isn't even a 3-way head-to-head down in the players' position. This is for that top 2, ever so close. Showing that every single game in league play, it really does matter. But Hydra, they are your team to kind of win that one on. Obviously, Safari being tied, and Arena Tribe, which will fall in 3rd and 4th. They will be in the play-ins, but not going to be an easy team to beat. And Yoruba, this is kind of a team that we've seen slip down the table over the last few weeks. It's definitely a team that's kind of, they need to rebuild going into these play-ins, because this was a team to look out for, and it was kind of a surprise. You know, some teams didn't really expect them to be such a kind of a top 3 table team, but in the last few weeks they did end up falling down the table. So hopefully they can rebuild going into the play-ins. But Prominence, they do hold that 6th position. Ember, they do fall short, not getting the results they were entirely looking for. And then Vanguards and Rebos, they will fall short in 8th and 9th. But I'm pretty sure Rebos, they had a pretty good last week. But obviously, unfortunately, it was a little bit too late to change anything.
I've just realised something. Senji said he swept the other day and that they weren't going to finish bottom, and I realised we like drew Vanguards 2-2 to put them back to bottom. His first series win all season. I'm sorry, Senji, I didn't mean to.
Meaningless in the end.
But we'll go to the Ignis standings now. And Barmanitan, take it away.
Your top 2 Overkill and Sorcerers, and despite this top 3 having been in place since I believe it was week number 6, this occurred. That, you know, it's been close the whole way through. You see Sorcerers having to beat out Uranum on the tiebreaker. I think it goes to head-to-head, which Sorcerers beat Uranum on. So it's so close, and Overkill got that 2-all draw against Toxin last night to make sure they finish first without having to go to tiebreakers. So really close on that top 3 front. So it's just about get that playoff spot. It means you're going to have to fight so hard now in the play-ins. And further down, we see Custard Creams overtake Fearless Echo in the final week. They beat them on head-to-head as well, despite the lesser goal difference. Means that they get the slightly more favourable matchup. And of course, the biggest move of Ignis is Comet overtaking Montbéliard in the final week, just about nipping in there ahead of Montbéliard, who will be going home with empty hands at the bottom. Journeymen and Concerto. Journeymen, again, we've been talking about it. They fight back. They make sure they don't go out with a ridiculously stupid record. 24 wins is still a very respectable number.
Yeah, we said it a couple of weeks ago. The fact that the bottom teams have 20 wins, we usually see people in past seasons dropping out with, like, well, Fearless Alpha. But 20
one more week, better. One more week.
20 wins at the bottom and only, like, what, 10 or so wins off the play-ins isn't that bad in all essence of things. But I'm just going to repeat what we said about the Challenger tier. This tier has been so close again this season, and it's been amazing to see. It was that amazing that there was actually people live refreshing ball chasing links last night to wait for the Montbéliard Uranium result. That's how close people wanted to see this tier. Just not watching the game, just looking at a link for when a ball chasing replay uploaded. But we'll head to major Glacies now. And Bam, I'll come to you first. We have Rhapsody 3, Bladesmiths 1. Now, Rhapsody needed to sweep this to finish second.
Yeah, they did indeed, and it was all over in the first game, which Bladesmiths won. They were all 4 games were by 1 goal, but the rest of the series doesn't really matter in essence because Bladesmiths has already secured it. Rhapsody do fight back and finish 2 wins behind them, as do Jammy Dodgers with a great week, but again, Spartak's performing for Rhapsody. He's looking like a scary man. He got 7 goals in those 4 games to punish Bladesmiths for their lack of pressure after they'd already gotten second. So, Bladesmiths, they're dropping games like that. It doesn't look great for them. And Rhapsody fighting back. They go in with so much momentum into these playing games in the coming weeks. And you have to be worrying. I think it is Blaze they will play. If in the next week or so in those play-ins, yeah, and that's going to be such an intense matchup for a first round play-in match because we've been talking about Blaze's form and we've been talking about Rhapsody's form, and yet one of them will have to go in the very first round.
Yep, indeed. I'll stick with you, Bam, because I'm just looking at Budder's picks and he's put Rhapsody 1 and 7. It is indeed 7 and 1. I think he's got mixed up there. So we've got Jammy Dodgers 4, Meteor 0, and Fearless Delta 3, Andrew 1. And you've got a stat for the caster here tonight. I
do. On the Jammy Dodgers one, just say they went 4-0 against Meteor, meant to 7 goals. That one did indeed knock Meteor out pretty much, as Meteor lose the head-to-head to Fearless Delta, and that's due to this Fearless Delta doing so well with Buddha subbing up from Fearless Echo. They just about got it done, and it's no less thanks to Buddha's 9 saves in that series against Andrew, where they needed games, they needed to win, and combined with that 1 game against Eternia, it means they just finish above Meteor, and fair play to you, but you come and get the job done. You just beat out Meteor, and you get your team into the play-ins.
Thank you. I mean, Andrew, I'm not gonna lie, I just peaked. That's probably the best I've ever played Rocket League, but the Saturnia series, it's credit to our 2 teammates, because I played awful. I could not hit the ball in defense. I got faked so many times by the opposition, but I've just realised, Ark, it was a mistype. It's supposed to say Bladesmiths, not Rhapsody. So, yeah.
Okay. So we spoke about Bladesmith. So, Bud, I'll come to you with the Glacier side of things. You've got Zulu 2 and 6 and Megamin Cult 6 and 2.
Yeah, first off with Zulu, for mostly the whole season up until week 6, they've been top 2. They were first for a week. Obviously, I know they did lose a player, obviously near the end, but even with that, they held 3rd place in week 7 and 8th, but then they just dropped to 5th. Well, spoiler alert for the standings there. For this team, this has been a team who's been up the top all season long. And to get 2-2 onto Genesis, and obviously just some issues in the roster to forfeit as well in such crucial games, going into kind of a seeding kind of position in the last week, it's just all for Zulu to kind of really focus up going into play-ins, because this is a team who have shown to take games and win series onto the top teams. So it's definitely an upset to see how they've only gone 2-6, especially taking a draw onto Genesis, which you probably expect to win. But either way, it's just down to them if they can kind of regain their mental heading into that play-ins. And obviously for Megamin Colt 6-2. Obviously, they did have the forfeit, but that's not the reason really why I picked it out. It was for Gladiators. Gladiators, they get the 2-2 onto Megamin Colt. Gladiators being such a dominant team all season long in the major tier, they literally just beat everyone, and they've been first all season long except for 1 week. And to get a 2-2, it just shows that they have potential to almost beat any team going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and we do mention the playoffs. There are some little stats here that we've got. Zulu haven't won a series for 8 series now since that ban on Rukia. So going into play-ins, that is a massive, massive downside to the recent results. And also, Megamin Cult won't have Shires playing in the playoffs yet. I think they're actually subbing Kairu from minor, so some twists and turns in these playoff storylines, definitely.
Rhapsody as well. Did you mention Spartax can't play against Blizz?
I saw that in league discussion earlier as well. Spartax won't be there for the play-ins, unless that's a mind game. We don't know about that yet.
That would be crazy.
But you've picked out one player for a special mention for a PFA. Obviously, we want PFAs to stay around in the league. Obviously, you don't get to have many games when it's mid-season, but Barmanitan's Genesis 2, Zulu 2, and there was one standout player there.
It really was, and it's even more impressive because Genesis were coming into this one with nothing to gain, and they were already down and out with no chances of a play-in spot, and yet they bring in Jenga Benga, and he gets 4 goals, 5 assists. He's got the most goal involvements for that series, and dooms Zulu to an even further down the table finish. So really good stuff from him coming in. I think he's been around for a couple of seasons, the Irishman, subbing here and there, but this is probably his biggest involvement yet, denying Zulu any sort of momentum going into the play-ins.
Yeah, he also submitted a really good clip as well. Unfortunately, it didn't get the top 5 because there's so many standout ones this week. But speaking of standout performers, we go to the Glacies tier, and obviously we speak about Gladiators every single week. They're always at the top. What can you tell us about the movement? And I'm more interested in the one of Thanatos Barmanitan.
Yeah, Gladiators and Venom stay top 2, and it is more about that movement from Megaman Cult and Thanatos overtaking Zulu after Zulu, as mentioned, were doing so well before that ban, and 5th is by far their lowest finish of any week in the season, the worst time to be doing it, and it's just credit to Thanatos and Megaman Cult. Senji throwing in another stat that Thanatos had their first week without a draw, so their first week where they had 2 wins, and they're going in with plenty of 4. Megaman Cult 6-2. It's all looking rosy for them, but Zulu on the other hand, it all seems to be going wrong. They will go in as the 5th seed, not where they wanted to be at all, and that forfeit has to provide maybe some sort of insight into the mentality of how this team are feeling. They're not even showing up to matches. What hope are they going to have? And in a play-in set, it's going to be so tight in every single tier, but especially major, where season after season it proves the competitiveness. And if you're not even willing to show up to your final week, then it's going to be so much tougher for you to regain the confidence.
Yeah, indeed, and we head to the Ignis standings, Butter.
Good old Ignis. Saturnia obviously claiming that first spot with a pretty massive goal difference compared to all the other teams. Bladesmiths coming in second, even though they do get a pretty, not the best week, going 1-7, but they still hold that second place. So we've got Rhapsody in third, Jammy Dodgers in fourth on that head-to-head, Rhapsody winning it. And then Andrew and Fearless Delta climbing up to 5th and 6th, getting that play-ins position. Meteor just falling out just towards the end, unfortunately, not getting the results quite they were looking for. I do believe they did play Saturnia, which they lost 3-1 to, and I think they got swept as well by Jammy Dodgers. So Meteor, they probably were looking for a better result, especially on the Jammy Dodgers, but Jammy Dodgers being that top 4 team, just showing why they're up there. And obviously Overtake and Necromancers, they will finish in 8th and 9th, but very closely as well. As you mentioned earlier, Archeon, how the bottom 2 teams, impressive when they have above 20 wins. Overtake with 25 and Necromancers with 24, showing that, they weren't even that too far off play-ins in the last couple of weeks if they just had a good one.
Yeah, indeed. Just to answer one question from Evo Almighty in the chat, we will have the playing brackets um, on the stream in a minute. We're going to be doing our predictions. So the playoff predictions won't have the right teams because obviously we're predicting play-ins as well. But yeah, you can also check on the database in the league as well. But we head to Elite now, and Buddha will stick with you. And our amazing production has put it to week 9 now. We're in the right week.
Wow.
We're getting there. Some
We're in the
updates in
present.
the background. But Diamond Dust, Serve really carrying them up to a good playing seed this week.
Yeah, Diamond Dust, they always show some improvement in the weeks. A 3-1 on the Titan, definitely a really good result for them, just showing that they can, perform against a top team. So it's definitely going to be a team to watch out for going into the play-ins. But also that 2-2 onto Carnage, just to state out, Diamond Dust were 2-0 down in that series, and, they fought it back to that 2-2. Diamond Dust is showing to be a strong team. Even if they're losing, they will get back in it. Obviously, showing it again, a victory on the Titan is a very impressive result. So Diamond Dust, they're looking like a strong team, but I think in the play-ins, it's just going to be, can they start off strong?
Yeah, indeed. And Inferno were one of the teams that really needed to have a good week to make the play-ins as well. Can you correct me if I'm wrong? That have they made it, Bam? Even though they went 2-6.
They did make it. They were relying on Carnage sweeping Centurions in the final day of the season, and luckily for them, it came through. And Friday in the scoreboard gave them a shout out. They've done well to get them here despite the 2 points scraping in.
Yeah, very well indeed. Centurions were just so close, but Carnage isn't what you want to play in the final game of the season, especially when they got beat 4-0 earlier in the season with the same team. But we head to Ignis now, and Iovi going 5-3 in Overwatch. Overwatch and Oracle, clutching those playing spots.
Is this still me? Sorry.
You can take this one, yeah. You've written them in your notes, so I'm hoping you've got something to say.
I kind of got lost there. I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, for IOV, getting that 3-1 victory onto Nocturne, it was a really good result. It really closed that first and second gap. Obviously, they didn't overtake them, but it did close the gap down. And again, that 2-2 onto Jaffa Cakes. So Jaffa Cakes, being they've been a strong mid-table team all season long. They've proven that they can take games and wins onto those top teams. So Jaffa Cakes is definitely not an easy game to get a win on. So 2-2 onto them is a good one for IOV. But either way, a 5-3 week for them is really good for them, and it does hold their position. And obviously for Overwatch, getting that 4-4, a 2-2 onto Oracles and a 2-2 onto Chianina. Obviously, they're both teams that are below and above them around the time very closely, but to get that 4-4 week, it did kind of secure them that play-in position. But it's just showing that they can hold in the play-ins, but it's just if they can just perform that little bit extra when it is needed.
Yeah, and I just want to go back to your notes that you posted earlier, Bam. All these teams that you've wrote down, other than Centurions, are obviously in playoffs. Iovi 3, Nocturne 1, Jaffa Cakes 3, Phoenix 1, Diamond Dust 3, Titan 1. 2 of those you could say are shock results. Maybe all 3. Is this what we reckon playoffs is going to be like? And I'm not just on about this tier, I'm on about every tier.
It's really tough to predict because in previous seasons we've seen the league plays be really close, but I would say for the most part the winners have all been relatively expected. So when you're coming into the play-ins and playoffs with results like these, Jaffa Kicks preventing Phoenix from getting top 2, Iovi trying to get first off of Nocturne for the first time all season, but just falling short as Nocturne beat Inferno. It's all everywhere. Diamond does beat Titan, as we've said, and Yusk and JSW in that final game against Phoenix got 9 goal involvements each. So they're on incredible form, some of these play-in sides, and you really feel like coming in to the play-ins, coming into that lower bracket from those games where they've got results against really tough teams. There could be momentum going forward for them there, and there definitely could be upsets on the cards, maybe more so than any season prior.
Yeah, and we go over to the standings in Glacies, and the only upset here is Friday, the GM of Centurions, the captain of Centurions, just missing out on the play-ins. He's done so much work for the RSC this season with his back-end sheets, and just got a feel for him for just missing out in that final week. But The standings stay the same since week 8, Barm, so there wasn't technically any movers here.
Yeah, not quite, and it's coming down to that Nocturne Inferno game as well. We're talking about Nocturne winning it to keep first, but they do drop that one game to Inferno, and that one game for Inferno is why they're still alive, why they're still going into these play-ins and having a chance, because Centurions couldn't manage it against Carnage. They got swept, and means they will be going once again empty-handed, so close, as it has been for so many teams. We look at Meteor, we look at Montbéliard in minor, and these teams have tried so hard but just can't get it done in the end. And you look at the rest of the table, Titan Carnage being top 2 for so long. Carnage can't quite catch up to Titan, but they do narrow the gap to 3. So again, it's close. Rias Legion and Hades only 2 apart. Diamond just not far behind and going in with plenty of good results to their name, beating Titan, beating other great teams. So Inferno, you have to be looking at the weak link from these 6 teams, but they can certainly still spring an upset, and they have gotten some results, maybe more so in the mid-season. So they'll have to be punching up, but you feel the other 5 can definitely be going places all of their own accord.
Yeah, and we'll head to Ignis now, and Buddha, start with you. There's a few moves on this one.
Finally, we get some movement going on. See Nocturne and Iovi claiming that top 2. Iovi did make it a little bit closer with that victory, but it just was not enough. Phoenix and Jaffa Cakes, they will remain 3rd and 4th with 2 wins apart. But Oracles, they are going to move up with Overwatch going down. Only 1 win separating the both of the teams. And Asteroid and Chianina falling short from that playing spot. Even though Asteroid, they did go that 7-1 week, it just wasn't just quite enough. And I'll see Fearless Alpha down at the bottom with 8 wins, a 22 win gap from 8th. I mean, that's pretty impressive itself. But either way, Asteroid, they're probably going to be a little bit upset. A 7-1 week, and they still just couldn't quite clutch the play-ins. But it was all credit to Overwatch claiming those 4 wins that they needed.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the 9th place team didn't get 20 wins here. That's all we'll have to say on Fearless Alpha from now on. It is the final week. You won't have to hear that name again, Buddha, unless you bring it back next season. But it's a premiere now. And, we're back to week 7. Lovely.
We've returned to the past.
Wait. I have got the graphic. It's coming. It's coming.
The excitement.
I'm getting live updates in the background.
Drum roll, please.
There we go.
Okay.
He has provided.
Smooth.
That was a smooth transition, wasn't it, guys? But yeah, this is what happens when you work for 13 hours and you have to get everything ready within 20 minutes. But the week 9 results. Buddha, you've picked out your weekly 1 result before Barn goes on his rant, so tell us about Warlocks and Vulcan.
I always like to feel a little bit involved in the Premier Tier before it turns into the Barman show. Warlocks 3-1 onto Vulcan. I mean, this is a pretty good result for them. Warlocks, they have been in that top 3 in the last 4 weeks. But onto Vulcan, which was a team who, they did show to put up a fight. So a 3-1 victory was really good for them. And I'm pretty sure, Barman's probably going to correct me either way, but I think the 3-1 victory here really solidified their top 4. Actually, I could be wrong now looking at the standings. But either way, Warlocks with a good 3-1 result. Barman, over to you.
Yeah, Vulcan could have still overtaken Warlocks with a 4-0 if it had gone that way. It's not to be. And even if that had been the case, because of the results elsewhere, Warlocks would have still gotten top 4. So they didn't have to get a result there. But it means for Vulcan they'll have to fight from 5th, and losing out on the tiebreaker to a Flame side that also just about snuck in as they get the 2-2 against Finale in a match that Finale needed the 3-1 to keep their chances alive. And they took the lead in Game 3. They lost the first one. They won Game 2, took the lead in Game 3, but they couldn't hold it out. Flame got that one, and that did eliminate Finale despite them getting the fourth game as well. And HP got 7 goal involvements there, so really tried to carry Finale forward into the playoffs, but couldn't quite get there, and they will finish 1 game off of the mark from Oreos. That's where we see some dead rubbers in this tier for maybe the first time. As Upper GX draw with nil, Archeon yourself, you subbed up, and Upper GX they brought up Bright Ollie and someone, I think it was Carlos, played for them. So bit of a scuffed Premier matchup, that one, but still fun to see nonetheless. They go 2-2, and if Null keep themselves off the bottom. The other dead rubber was maybe Vibe and Overburn. Overburn did have a chance to stay alive if they had won 4-0, but that was always going to be unlikely against the Vibe, or as they are now known by the team they've been picked up by, Wild. A team that has just been getting results everywhere. Yes, they go into playoff second, but they're looking so good outside of RSC, and it's really hard to doubt them going into it. The final one, Luna 4-0ing Oreos when Oreos could have still gotten into the top 4 with a draw, means that Luna stay unbeaten. Their only draw this season was against Vibe, and they beat every single other team. Despite those couple, even with those couple of forfeits, they still prove their worth against every single other team. So Luna are just looking so dangerous, and I think they will have to play with an alternate team in the final. It will be Kalzafi and Cynical coming in, I think. So I don't know if this is public information, but it is now, and they'll have to hope that they can replicate the form that Gek and Acidic have been having, because they're just destroying everyone.
Yeah, and we head to the standings now. We'll see them destroying people in first. But I'd just like to take my time out here, Bam. I've just looked in lead discussion at the pinned messages. You predicted Null to be last, but guess who you predicted second? Opera GX.
But it's, again, it's that case of predictions don't really hold very much when after week 2 the team's disbanding. So.
Very true.
Yeah, the unfortunate fate that it was for Upper GX as they get a completely new team in to get a few more draws. They were the only winless team of the whole tier, but yeah, that is definitely the worst prediction of the lot. Flame only one off, Vulcan only a couple off, so overall it's not the worst, but you're looking to that.
We also put Oreos 9th as well, just for clarification. But I remember our discussion about Null, and I put them 8th and you put them 10th, so I'm just leaving that there.
Well, I'll just leave it there that you decided to agree with me. So you backed off. You should have stood firm.
Well, we wanted the underdog story. It happened when we beat Vibe in once, and then after that it failed. But we head to the franchise standings now, and I'll let you take this one away, buddy.
Oh, me. The honours has been given to me. Thank you. Well, we've got System Solaris and Symbiotes. I'm pretty sure the last few weeks you and Boopy have just been fine off in the general league discussion or somewhere, but it will be a System Solaris to take that first position with 230 wins, Symbiotes with 225, Overture, Dark Magic, Fort Templar staying in their positions in that top 5. Credits to those GMs. And obviously, Might of Hades, Senji climbing up all the way up to 6th. I mean, really impressive with that big week that he had. If I'm correct, was it 31-9 you said, or was it something else? I don't know. Either way,
31-9. He was going to quit his GM this season if he didn't get top 10. And he finishes in a league high 6th.
Senji with a really impressive finish. I'm pretty sure, he's had some not so impressive ones in the last few seasons, but credit to Senji for finally finishing in that top 6. Luna Esports, they will drop to that 7th spot. Then we'll have Waifu Fan Club, Ignite Esports, and Forge, or Forg, however you want to say it, finishing in 8th, 9th, and 10th. Internet Explorers will drop down a little bit, but they still stay in the kind of the mid-table range. Override, Astro.
Why do you struggle over this one every week?
It's the shortest name.
Yeah, but it's just pronouncing the A. Is it A still or Aster?
Asteroid. Aster.
Leave me alone, man. Come on. Then the Confectionery Alliance Academy, they will all stay there 12th to 15th. Fearless Esports climb up to 16th. Shaman Esports will drop down to 17th. And Ox Gaming will be hacky, finishing in 18th. But, not too far. Only 4 wins away. So you got to give credit to the effort. But, I mean, wow. I just love looking at the goals. I'm not going to lie. Just seeing so many goals just from everyone. There's a lot of numbers to look at.
I mean, yeah, the league table's been so close. Everyone's been scoring against each other. And you can see that all over the table. But a huge congratulations to Systema Solaris. And obviously, GM of the season doesn't rest on this. It all depends on how you perform in playoffs as well. So everyone from 1st to 18th can still fight out for the championships and get GM of the season. So good luck to them in the playoffs and play-ins, obviously. But also a huge congrats to the top 10. They will most likely see themselves get a Premier team next season if we continue with the 10-team format. So very well done to them. But we head over to the predictions now, and I hope Jay Kusiak isn't in in the chat to flame us this season to predict Prelude losing in play-ins and being correct about it, mind you. But here we are with the prospect play-ins, and Barmanitan, this is yours.
Yeah, I have last season as well. It's really intimidating doing this because everyone just wants to hit you no matter what you put. But this is what I've done for the play-ins. Being to beat Orbit as the low seed, I think one of the only low seeds I've predicted so far, and I've done some of the other tiers as well, despite us not doing them this week. But yeah, I feel that Bing have something about them. They got a 3-1 onto Exelon to get some form going in, and Orbit they go 7-1. So it's a bit questionable maybe to deny them on this form, but that's just how I feel. Endrick is going to perform and get the win over Terra as well. You're going to swipe out Tartarus. I mean, you've got to throw some controversy in somewhere. I'm gonna back the Salt team to destroy them there. But on the other side, Oberon to sweep Fearless Bravo. I think that one's the most undisputed of the lot because of how well Oberon have been doing, how close they were to top 2, and the perform Bravo are coming in on. Hot Metal to knock out Exelon, that one's really close as well, and then Oberon to beat out Hot Metal in 4 to get that lower bracket as well.
Yeah, and moving on to your prospects predictions, following on from play-ins.
Yeah, the controversy maybe continues here. I've backed the top 2 teams to move on to the upper final in Mages and Cardinals. Prelude maybe putting a bit more of a fight than Kindling, who I feel have fallen off even without the Pengu games. They haven't looked as strong, so put Mages and Cardinals in there. Then in the lower bracket, Kindling to sweep out Bing. I just think, despite maybe Kindling dropping a few, Bing, it should not really be a matchup for them there. Should be okay for them. Oberon to beat Prelude. It's another one, I think Oberon should just have the match up there and just about get over Prelude and Kindling in 5. Then they'll face Mages in the lower final after Cardinals beat Mages. Oberon will fall there eventually. The top 2 teams will reign supreme, but Cardinals to get it done in 7, not have to face the bracket reset and be your prospect champions. That's where I think it's going, and I think most people are agreeing that Cardinals Mages is the expected grand final.
We'll see when we come to someone else's predictions, but we'll transition over to Buddy's play-ins.
Hey, mine might be different, but hey, you got to switch it up a little bit, You got to expand the opportunities. Well, either way, Orbit, as well as they are doing in these last couple of weeks, I do believe Bing, they do take it. They just look more consistent throughout the season. Obviously, Tartarus taking on Terra. I just don't think Terra have been just doing just that little extra enough in league play. And unfortunately, I do think Bing will just fall short. But either way, every game is going to be close. But I think Tartarus, they will qualify for the playoffs. They will go all the way. I'll see down here, Oberon, the 3-1 onto Fearless Bravo. Before I knew that we have to play a sub now, I would have put a 3-0. But I do believe we'll get one game. But either way, Oberon, they're probably gonna smash Fearless Bravo due to the past performances. Exelon and Hot Metal, I did just edge this one out to Exelon with that 3-2. I see Hot Metal, they are a good side, they are very consistent, but I generally do feel like Exelon just have that little bit extra to take on them. I just feel like they will just claim it, but unfortunately, I do think Oberon, they will take that 3-1 onto Exelon. Oberon, they've just been up on the rise in these last few weeks, and honestly, for Oberon, I think it's just all going to be momentum for them in the play-ins, especially for playoffs as well.
And moving on to your playoffs.
Oh, here we go. Loads of people are going to hate me. Some people are going to love me. Mages, I think they will get that 3-2 onto Kindling. Either way, it's going to be a very good matchup. But Mages, just awfully consistent all the way, all season long. I'll see Kindling. They have been consistent, but just a little bit less. Cardinals 3-1 on Prelude. I'll see Prelude, a very, very good side. But Cardinals, they're just a deadly threatening side. And I'll see I get them to take the game 5 on Mages. 2 very good teams. And then as we head over down to the lower bracket, Kindling getting that 3-2 onto Tartarus. Either way, Tartarus, they're going to put up a good fight, but Kindling just being such a strong team, they're going to edge that one out. Oberon and Prelude, this took me quite a long time to decide because Prelude are honestly a very good side, but I generally think they're just playing 2 really tough teams to beat. And I think Oberon, they are going to take that in a game 5, and with that momentum, I generally think they'll take it onto Kindling with that 3-1 and then get that game 5 onto Mages. But either way, they're all going to be close. And the grand final, some people, they're probably going to disagree with this, but I honestly think Oberon, they're going to win this all just based on momentum. We've seen it in the past. The lower brackets, they run on momentum for the bracket reset. Either way, series 1, I think it'll be very close. But I think in the series 2, Oberon will kind of start to figure out Cardinals a little bit and just get confident.
Yeah, and we move on to my prediction. I think you two are hated more in the chat than I ever have been. I hope that's the general consensus.
Senji's is carrying the complaints.
But yeah, here's my prospect playing. So Orbit 1 being free, I'm always going to side with our conference. It's just so stacked, and I did the same last season. Orbit have been a very inconsistent side this season. Despite the 7-1 this week, I just see them losing to Bing 3-1, who haven't been doing all that great in the past 2 weeks. But we move on to Tartaros and Terra. I see Tartaros taking this 3-2. Terra have been battling inconsistencies all season as well, and going 2-6 in the final week really didn't help their seeding, so I just see them losing this one as well. And then in the final of this one, I see Tartaros taking it 3-2. I initially had Bing, but I changed my mind to Tartaros after I saw the head-to-head results between them this season, and I think Tartaros edged that 5-3. Moving on to the lower play-ins, Oberon sweep Fearless Bravo. Bravo, as you said, haven't won a series in 5. That's not playoff form at all. Hot Metal, if anyone says this stream is biased, just look at my prediction here. Hot Metal 3, Exelon 1. I cut Pure, and our results haven't been that great since, and I don't see us beating Hot Metal, who are finding form themselves. Melty Crispy is probably one of the better players in this tier as well. But moving on to that final, I think Oberon are going to take Hot Metal 3-2, and Tartaros and Oberon, the two Glacies teams, are going to make it through. As we move on to the prospect playoff predictions, I see Mages taking Kindling 3-2 in this one, and I see Cardinals taking Prelude 3-1. Prelude have been a solid side, but I see them as not as good as Cardinals, Mages, and Kindling. Into the lower bracket, I see Kindling beating Tartaros 3-1, and that's unfortunately where Might of Hades' run ends. Prelude 2, Oberon 3. Oberon have been on the up and up in the last 3 weeks, and they've just constantly risen the table. However, in the lower semi, I think Kindling are going to find the form again and get a 3-2 over them. Whereas in the upper final, I see Cardinals taking Mages. I just don't see anyone beating this team with High-Vis, Pure, and Dehydration. I tried to pick up 2 out of 3 of them prior to this season. Dehydration didn't join. Pure left to join them, and they've just gone from strength to strength. I think they're 14-2 as a roster with Pure now, which is definitely playoff winning form. So I see Mages going into the lower final, and then Kindling getting revenge on that defeat in the uppers and winning 3-2, and then Cardinals taking this 4-2 and being the prospect champions.
Denying Kindling the 2-time.
Indeed. But Barm, we're back to you again with the Challenger play-ins.
We go on to more madness here as prospect rounded out, but Challenger, I'll start it off with the Fort Templar team going the exact opposite route as Cardinals. I don't think Crusaders will have enough to beat Pyromancers. Pyromancers so close to getting top 2, but Neptunium just a couple of wins ahead of them, but I really think Pyromancers should have a lot going about them, and despite them beating Crusaders, I think Scorn coming off of the 3-0 win against Party Rings, they should beat them. Maybe not should. I think that one's probably an upset going into it, but Scorn, I think they should have enough about them. Torchic playing, I think you're saying it is what's going to be the eventuality, but Torchic playing the lowest challenger MMR, I'm still going with him either way, my former teammate. I don't know, it's you got to go with the gut instinct sometimes on the play-ins. On the other side, got Nezuko Gang sweeping Fearless. Kalo again, the Fearless team coming in with such bad form. They go 1-7 and somehow still make it in because of apprentices and satellites ineptitude. So they somehow find themselves here. But Nezuko Gang has been such a tough team. It's hard to see them beating him. And I do think Nezuko Gang will go on to play Epsilon, who'll beat out Overrule in 5. Overrule being consistent 4th, but Epsilon have been a bit better. Despite dropping off in the final few weeks, they've been top for a lot, and I think that experience, they've been here for a few seasons. I do think Epsilon should beat out Nezuko Gang. I think that one's pretty close to a 50-50 in terms of what people are feeling, but I've gone the way of Epsilon.
And moving on to your playoffs. Oh, wrong
Start it
one.
off.
Sorry.
Oh.
I hit in the wrong screen. There we go. Challenger playoff.
Here we go again. This is the right one, and we'll start off in the upper bracket where, yeah, I just think Ignis are a bit better. You've been talking about how strong Glaciers is meant to be, but for me, Chorus and Neptunium have just been better, and I think Orcus will be beat out on Yahoo 2 and 5. I think that one's one of the closest of the whole playoffs, but Neptunium to go through and into the lower bracket, scoring to beat Orcus. Senji's complaining continues because I put Orcus to bomb out completely and scoring to move on, which is maybe backing Torchic a lot. It's a lot of pressure for someone coming in as such a low player and being sub, having to move to main roster, but Swift is such a strong player, Frizzle as well coming down from minor. I think they'll be a really tough team. Epsilon beating Yahoo is maybe an even more ambitious prediction. I've really gone all out for this one, but I've put faith in Fawn. I said he'd do well last season, didn't do so on a Motos, but I put him to beat Yahoo in 5, beat Scorn in 5, and eventually be beat out by Neptunium coming down from a game 5 loss. Neptunium to beat Epsilon, get back into that rematch in the lower in the bracket, reset after they beat Chorus 4-3. I think Chorus just edged it out 4-1 and take the challenger victory, but I think I've thrown in enough upsets for that one.
And we move to Buddha's Plains.
Time for mine. Well, as you can see, Pyromancers, they will take on Crusaders 3-1. Now, Crusaders, I reckon they'll take a game, but I just don't think they're strong enough. Scorn and Party Rings. This one I was on for a few minutes because Party Rings have really had a really good last week. I do hate to predict them to go out in their first game, but either way, I would not be surprised if they'd get the win. But I think Scorn will just edge that one out in a game 5. The same again just for Pyromancers. I just think they just have that little bit extra. I just think they have the little bit more of consistency, especially going into play-ins. They're just going to have more of wanting to win it. So I think Scorn, they are going to qualify for the playoffs. The Zuko Gang and Fearless Kilo, again, I'm just giving them hope with that one game win. But the Zuko Gang, they're just a very consistent team, a solid team. And on to Fearless Kilo, who just lack consistency, it's going to be a very hard matchup. But Nezuko Gang, they're most likely probably going to take that one just because of how strong their performance has been all season long. Then overall and Epsilon, overall, I think they will put up a fight. They've been in that round, in around the 4th position all season long in league play. But Epsilon, they're just shown to edge it out with their last few results, especially beating out Yahoo as well. And the Zuka Gang, I think they will take the game 5 onto them. I think the Zuka Gang, just edging out, missing the playoffs. I think they're really going to come into these play-ins really wanting to go all the way. I don't think they're just I just think there's going to be no remorse from them, and I think they're just going to go all out, and I think Epsilon will just fall short. But Nezuko Gang and Scorn to make the playoffs.
And moving on to your playoffs.
Now, the juicy playoffs. Let's see how many people are going to like me or hate me. Chorus taking the 3-1 onto Orcus. I think, Orcus, they'll put up a good fight, but Chorus has shown to be such a good team all season long. Then I've got Yahoo falling short to Neptunium 3-1. Yahoo, they are a good side, but they've shown in many series they have a slow start. And Neptunium, they got very good individual players. It's just all going to come down if they can work as a team. Then also I've got Chorus beating Neptunium in a game 5, which will go to the grand final from a Chorus. And Orcus, I think they will get the 3-1 onto Scorn. I honestly think Orcus, they're just going to come out swinging. After that 3-1 loss onto Chorus, they're going to be warmed up. They're going to be fired up. I think they will get that victory there. Yahoo on the Zuko Gang. The Zuko Gang, they had that 2-0 lead in league play on Yahoo, but I think Yahoo, they're going to really be looking to have a strong start. I think the Zuko Gang, they will come out firing, but I think Yahoo probably looking for a reverse sweep here, or at least they'll bring the series back. But I think they will take it in a game 5 over onto Orcus. Yet again, Orcus, I may have them losing this game, but I honestly think they're going to be a tough matchup for teams, and Orcus could be the upset teams for opponents. And then Neptunium taking that game 5 onto Yahoo. I honestly think this is all going to come down to who can strengthen their weaknesses. Because as I've mentioned, Yahoo, they always have a slow start. Neptunium, very good individual players, but it's just if they can get that team chemistry going. And I believe they're going to have it in that grand final. I think they'll take a game 7 in that first series, and I think they'll take it in the second series as well. I think Chorus, it's not going to be easy, but I do believe Neptunium will just edge it out, and I'm hoping, their team chemistry really comes out to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, and we move on to my challenger play-ins. I think Barmanitan is definitely the most hated out of all of us right now.
Just a tad.
Mainly
Can
by
you
Senju.
can you top it? Can you top it?
But here we go. I think it all rests on Pyromancers, to be honest. But here we go.
We've
Pyromancers
not
3,
said Pyromancer's
Crusaders
like,
1.
wow.
I just see Pyromancers being the stronger one. Obviously, they were top 3 in the other conference, and Crusaders have run into roster issues. They've had to replace Noosh for Hit Squared, who hasn't been able to turn up recently. I've got Scorn sweeping Party Rings 3-0. And then this is one that, yes, you may call biased, but I also believe that Frizz and Swift have the advantage over like Potter and Charlie, say. They're more experienced and they've hit higher ranks, so I just see Scorn edging out Pyromancers 3-1 in this one. In the lower one, we've got Nezuko Gang sweeping Fearless Kilo. Obviously, Kilo went 1-7 on a week that they needed to try and get wins. Luckily, every result went for them, and they still find themselves in play-ins. So I just think Nezuko Gang with those two 1400 players are going to sweep. Overrule, saw them play against Scorn and they lost 3-1 in that one. They are a good side. However, they do rotate the roster, and I just see Epsilon after that Yahoo stream just dominating this one 3-1. And this is the one I couldn't decide, Nezuko Gang or Epsilon. I changed the score to 2-3, 3-2 on this about 3 times before I decided Nezuko. The thing that made me go Nezuko is the amount of whiffs that Epsilon have. Yes, Fon's a fast player. Yes, Davey's a fast player, but they also commit very heavily and whiff balls as well. And I think Seiz and Flex are going to punish that heavily into a game 5. As we move into the Challenger playoffs, I've got Chorus beating Orcus 3-2. I've got Yahoo losing to Neptunium 3-1. Yahoo are a very good side, but they're also a rotating roster. And if they lose a game, they rotate it straight away. And sometimes going into playoffs and you're rotating the roster, it's not really... I mean, I did it in Season 5 when Anima got disconnected in the final. Dark had to come in cold. It just didn't work. I do have Orcus dropping down and losing to Scorn 3-2. And then I've got Yahoo beating Nezuko Gang 3-2. In the lower semi, Yahoo then beat Scorn 3-1. I just think they'll find a little bit of consistency to beat them. And then in the upper final, I've got Chorus beating Neptunium 3-2. This is going to be the game that we see the most of in playoffs. I think it's going to be the upper final and the grand final. And judging by the Glaciers Ignis standings, I don't think too many people will deny that. And then Neptunium will drop to the lower final, beat Yahoo 3-1. And then I see it being a bracket reset here. I think the momentum from Neptunium is going to carry them to the first win, and then Tomo will bounce back and take the bracket reset 4-2. Hate us if you want. But there are our predictions. We will be back next week with the minor and major ones. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed our predictions at least, or enjoyed trolling them. But it is time for our guests now, and the first one we have is Seiso Speedy, and I'll just get him into the VC. Do you want to tell us a little bit about him, Barmanitan?
Well, Seiso is new to RSC this season. He's come in, joined Mages from the draft, and done so well. They finished top. We're all predicting them to do pretty well in the playoffs. None of us predicting them to win, but I'm sure he'll be here to prove us wrong. And yeah, he's also joined the staff team recently, I think. Isn't that right, Archeon?
What was that, sorry?
He's joined the staff team on a certain special team. You know, he might be joining us later on in the week.
Oh yeah, he's on the caster, yeah.
Yeah. Is he here with us?
He is.
Hello.
Hello.
There he is.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I could come in, but yeah, I'm in tears after seeing that. By the way, no one putting us to win. Come on, mate. Cardinals, Kindling. Nah, no chance. We'd win Challenger if you lobbed us in there, you know.
I just rate Glaciers over Ignis. I think you're a brilliant team, but at the end of the day, it's going to be between the top 2 teams. I think Cardinals and Mages at the end of the day. So, but yeah. Hello and welcome to the RSCast. I know it's your first season here. Tell us how you found RSC so far. and where you came from.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. I've done a couple of leagues before, and so far, is my favourite one by quite a bit. I have a couple of friends who already play in this league. One actually plays for Exelon, who's Ozan, and he's one that got me into it. In someone else called Donut, who plays in Challenger, and they just pretty much introduced me to this, and I just love the idea of it in general. Like the whole like draft thing as well really pulled me in. So I was like, oh, have a go at that, because there's a couple of us playing who are all mates, and we all like kind of split up now because of the whole draft situation. And it's nice to like play against each other instead of like being in a different league and all being together in one team. Get to
Is this the first time we've heard this bar Manitan?
It might be.
Usually everyone's trying to team.
No. I don't want to be that, mate. I don't want to be with those people. I just want to thrash them in the final and stuff. Be a great time.
So how have you found that? How have you found the bragging rights over mates? Like, how has it been meeting new people? How did you come to get the prospect squad that you've got now?
Well, the bragging rights hasn't gone well so far. We've only lost to 2 teams, and one of them is Prelude twice, and one of their players, AJ47, is one of the friends that came with me. So the only team really we've lost to twice, and he gets to trash talk me, so that's great. But yeah, just like the way we found our team was we had a team in mind, and it after me, and it all kind of went out the window. And then basically we had I casted like a year ago, and I casted one game of someone called Dio Gakko, and he looked decent, so I was like, yeah, we'll have him. So that worked. And then one of them was like a friend of Potter's, so we was like, oh mate, we'll have him. And then the other one, the name looked cool, so we went with that guy.
Oh, we always love when names get picked out just for looking cool. Sato in season 5, I think, in season 6 prospect didn't quite work out for him.
No, season 7 was last season with
Mango. Season 7, his girlfriend picked him actually.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it didn't go well. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I'll pass you on to Bar Manitan for a few questions.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about you finishing first, obviously, and how you started. But when you did form that team, and going into week 1, how much confidence did you have? Did you think you'd be coming out on top with such high hopes of winning it all, or how were your feelings all the way back then?
I'm a bit of a cocky one. So I thought we was going to win it all. I was like, I don't really. This is going to sound bad, but I was like, whatever team I have, if they're trash, they're just going to stay in goal, and I'll just score the goals or something,
Wow.
Or something like that. But it turned out that they're decent. They're decent guys. Our third man was not available a lot, so we've actually ended up playing with our 800 MMR player quite a bit. But he's pretty cracked, so it turned out all right. And we all the best thing about it is that we all kind of get along from the start, so we're all mates in that. So it all ended up all right. I think that's the best thing about it, is that we all kind of connected as friends first, and then we ended up playing good, because I think that kind of puts in on how to improve through the season, because we all can kind of just say whatever we want to each other, and we're fine with it.
Yeah, it's great to see. As we said, it's a lot of time people wanting to stay with friends, but you come in, you make new friends, and you make new connections that really allow you to flourish. And talking about that going into next season, obviously you have the chance to stay as a team if you're all still fit in the cap, or you can go back into the draft. So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you would like to stay as a team, or try and find new people go into the draft once more?
Well, I'm really trying to get into Challenger next time. I'm hoping I can. And with that, I kind of just want to see what team I'll get. I'd rather just try and see what teams want me. It's kind of thing I like to just go to all the tryouts and combines, see who likes me, what players I kind of like playing with, and then try to make a team like that. I just couldn't really do it this season because the players I wanted kind of went other places. But next season, if I get any way to control that, I would like to try and find a team that can build around myself, and have other teams, other players that I would love to be able to connect with again, like I did luckily this time.
That'll pass you on over to Buddha.
Sorry, I'm being stung by DMs to take my shirt off on this, but I have to resist. Obviously, first of all, Seiso Speedy, congratulations on just staying first all season long. Big congrats to you. My question is for you. Obviously, participating in other leagues, coming into kind of a new kind of format. How did you kind of use that experience to kind of come into your first season being, as you would say, dominant in the Ignis conference?
Well, I've been captain before of other teams, so I kind of knew the way I kind of wanted to set it out from the beginning was I like the teams to play a certain way. I know I'm only prospect, so it's kind of a weird thing to say, but like I like to have the team play really high pressure Rocket League. And from the outset, that was like my mentality to try and get the team to play that sort of high pressure gameplay. And I kind of learned that from the past leagues because I feel like I know like Prospect's not the greatest, and in the other leagues I still wasn't the greatest, and I knew the best way to kind of get through that is just smashing the backboard and then hoping it goes in after that. So that's kind of like the thing I've learned from playing previously and then going on to this and just smash the backboard. That's the greatest thing to say to a Prospect player.
Well, I mean, the results and the league standards, it definitely backs that up. My final question for you, as I don't really know too much to ask, but it's kind of an obvious question. Going into playoffs, us three, none of us predicted you to win it all. Like, obviously, you're going to expect to win it all, but what's the one team that is going to be the toughest to beat?
One team that you really kind of looked over is one that is the toughest for us to beat, and it's Hot Metal. You guys didn't really look at them that much, but they got on that crispy Mouty guy, and really have been a struggle. We've played against them before, and like we've seen them how they play. And I know their captain likes to look through a lot of past games and kind of come up with plans on how to beat them. And I really struggle against that. And I feel like coming up against other teams like that, and I feel like a lot of people don't plan for games, and they do a lot of planning in matches, and that's how they kind of come over against other teams. And I think like they're really like a dark horse in this, and that's a team like I'm most scared of. Prelude as well, of course, they beat us twice, but I feel like we might be able to beat them. So I'm not too scared of them, but like 100% Hot Metal for me. I'm kind of terrified of them.
I'll make sure to look out. I'll make sure to look out for Hot Metal in the playoffs. And before I pass you over, again, congratulations to you in your league play, and the best of luck going into playoffs.
Oh, thank you.
Final question for you, Seiso. How have you found being a caster for us yet? And have you filled out the doodle?
Oh, I think I have. Yeah, I knew I was going to get that, but yeah, I'm loving it at the moment. I was a bit nervous at the start. I've kind of I've done some sort of casting before, but it's always been solo casting. So like, if I messed up, I knew it was all on me and stuff. So I didn't mind it too much. But because there's like another guy there, I get a bit wary about it. But to be honest, the people I've had so far have been with that Time of Light and Boopy so far, and they've been great. I've enjoyed it with both of them. They're great, like they're both great lads, and they help me a lot. Give some tips and whatnot. So it really helps with like the people you have there as well to really help you improve in the matches as well.
Great, and we have a challenger player to come and interview. So final words from you. Who makes the final and who wins?
What, in Prospect?
Yep.
Us against, I don't know. Us against, I guess, Cardinals, maybe Kindling. I wouldn't mind either one. I feel like I could be either of them. So I don't know, it's a bit ego-y, but
Just one team name. Just one.
One
scoreline.
Wow.
All right, I'll give it to Cardinals, and we just sweep them.
What?
Easily.
Okay.
Don't lose the game.
I respect the effort.
Nice.
They are I think 14-2 since Pure joined, or 18-2.
Mate, they're just winning against easy games, aren't they? They're not. They haven't had any hard matches. Who they played? Like Kindling? But nah, awful. Like, if they came over to the good side, then they would show them a bit of Rocket League, but now they're over there. So
I really do respect the confidence, but thank you, Seiso, for jumping in. Good luck for playoffs, and I hope you really do well. But we will get our next interviewer in now. Interviewee. And you can describe this person, Buddha, while I get him in.
Me? Oh yeah. I just know so much about this player. Either way, it's Tomo. He's in the first place team in the Ignis Conference Chorus, going 57 and 15 in league play. Such a good season. Tomo, welcome.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm doing good. I've been put on the spot here, but I'm doing good. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
I'm captain for Chorus team. We came first in Ignis Challenger tier. We're gonna win everything.
Do you know what? I love that confidence. I really do. I don't know if this is your first season or not. Is it?
It's my second season, I think. Yeah.
Second. Well, yeah. I've been put on the spot. I don't know anything about Tomo. How could you do this to me, Archeon? Honestly, like.
I only wanted an introduction while I dragged him in. You rambled on.
Oh.
Anyway, hello Tomo. You recently joined You recently joined the stats team. What made you want to join RSC in the first place and help out behind the scenes?
It just really interested me, to be fair. Doing stats and everything. Obviously improving a lot made me notice my stats more, and then it made me notice other stats more. So I
think everyone's noticed your stats this season.
Well, the shooting percentage isn't so great, but.
Yeah, unfortunately your GM wouldn't let me talk to you earlier on in the season. I did notice your stats. So yeah, it's good to watch you progress though. After last season, you had a decent season last season, but this season gone strength to strength. How do you see yourselves playing in playoffs, and is there any team that you're scared of?
In playoffs, first of all, I think it's outrageous how disrespected you did Pyromancers. I actually think I think they're a better opponent than Neptunium, in my opinion. We struggle against them more. So I think they'll get through play-ins first of all, and I think we'll beat Neptunium in the upper bracket final. And I can't decide between Neptunium or Pyro for the lower bracket final. I'd probably back Neptunium just because, I mean, Boopy's bigging them up about how their chemistry is all good. But yeah, I think we'd beat them in the final.
Okay, I will give you a little tip. Pottery's 0 for 5 in playoffs, and he always disconnects. That's probably why we don't have him going through.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know that, but I still think you slept on him.
Well, he did beat me 3-0 one time, so he's won at least a series.
That's fair. We'll pass you over to Barman with a few more questions.
Yeah, I'll go back to the start of the season, maybe in the mid-season as well, when you didn't look as clean sailing as in first as you have in the latter half. How much confidence did you have in your ability to keep it going and catch up to Neptunium? Because you were mixing it around with Pyromancers and Neptunium at the start, but since week 6 you've asserted your dominance and stayed first.
Yeah, I think the massive turnaround point was when we played Neptunium and we beat them 3-1 the second time. I think that might have been week 7. But previous to that, we haven't lost a series all group stage. So we were fairly confident with that. But then when we beat Neptunium, we were like, all right, yeah, we can beat every team here. Pyro played really well last week, to be fair. Their play style is very unorthodox. So it works.
Yeah, and I'll go in the other direction again as well. Looking into next season, I think you've been on course for 2 seasons now. So your contract, you have the option to let that run out and move away and find another team, or you can stay with Chung and Overture. What are you thinking about that? How much have you enjoyed your time on Overture, and do you think you want to continue being there?
Yeah, no, it's really good. Considering the first season we didn't even make playoffs. I know we were really close, but we didn't make playoffs. And then this season we're top of our conference, probably favourites in. I think everybody could agree. So yeah, that's been good. But going forward, but you got to try something new, right? So I do want to look somewhere else.
Do you think you'd be like bringing teammates with you if you did that, or what do you think?
2 GMs.
I've been with Mythics for 2 seasons now. I don't think he wants to stay with me. I don't know why. But he made a point about me not being on the same team in him and IEL, so I would say him, but nah.
Okay. Well, with that cough from Marco, I'll pass you over to put it.
Oh, back to me. All right, nice. Let's try not to throw this one. All right, Tomo, hello again. Good to talk to you again. Obviously going into the playoffs, you're looking like a pretty solid team in the Ignis Conference. Obviously, you're gonna want to win the whole thing. But as I asked Seiso Speedy earlier, what's the one team that you know is going to be your toughest opponent to beat?
That's a tricky one. Because I'm tempted to say maybe Orcus, because we haven't played against them at all season. I don't even think we've scrimmed against Orcus. I know, Sandy, you'll love that. Didn't mean that. But yeah, we don't know how they play, so they could throw a curveball. But if I was going on how I know people play, I would say Neptunium. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would be scared of them myself because I'm an inner challenger player. Yeah, I don't have anything else. I'm sorry, but either way, congratulations to you and your team on your league play performance, and the best of luck going into playoffs.
Cheers, mate.
I'll just end it on who's the one player that you think is just as good as yourself in Challenger, because obviously you're up there. Who's the next standout performer for you this season?
Performer. I think.
Oh, come on, you got to pick me, man. You got to pick me. Oh, and in the last week, what more could you want?
I think Dreed is really slept on as a third man. People always think of him as a third man, but as a first man, sorry. But as a third man, he is unbelievable, and he just saves everything. So people really sleep on him, in my opinion. But I also think Toe is unbelievable.
From someone who Dreed was our kryptonite last season in playoffs and reverse swept us. So I definitely know what you mean about Dreed as the GM. Did knock us out last season, and I agree completely. He's one of if not the best in that tier as well. But yeah, who's your final and scoreline?
Us and Neptunium 40 to us.
No bracket reset?
Nah, no chance.
Okay.
At least he gave him 2 games this time.
All right, Tomo, thanks for joining us. It's been good getting a prospect and challenger insight into these playoffs as well, so thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers.
And there we go. That is the guest for the week. As I said, that will be our format for the next couple of weeks. Next week will be minor and major, and then after that will be elite and premier. Remains to be seen whether we'll get premier guests, but we can always try.
I believe we can get one.
But,
18 players, that's a lot of people who might want to come on.
It is time for clip of the week now when we're getting into our awards. So here we go.
I love you, God, there's no settlement. I can't pretend that we're not meant. Oh, I think I'm overdosing. 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 When it hurts like this, we climb the greatest heights, jump down and have a fight, and that's all we'll ever like, but that can never change my mind. When it's good, it's amazing.
Apologies about the music. I don't have stuff coming through my headphones. I don't know why Spotify was playing, but rectified it and you saw it again. And some amazing goals this week, guys.
Yeah, amazing indeed. Especially the challenger ones really stepping it up. And that minor goal as well, goal number 3. I mean, even the reactions, they just made it so wholesome. And the elite goals always on top performance. I mean, like goal number 5, I mean, in a way, that's like a little bit of a fail from the team conceding, pinching it in the opposite half. But either way, all such good goals.
Yeah, you do.
Sorry, you can go. Oh.
You do have about 20 seconds left. I'll just let Barman finish.
Yeah, we were talking a couple of weeks ago about, it being possibly the best ever clip of the week. I feel like this is a contender, especially considering 2 are challenger. All 5 were so clean. I think all 5 just about takes it for me because it's so unexpected and so ridiculous. But again, credit to all 5. They were all mind-blowing. Double flip resets, stealing resets, double touches all round, and what an incredible set of 5 goals.
Yeah, indeed, and the results are in. It is game 5, goal 5, Titan, which was Ols who won. Second was Neptunium, which was Torin. It's actually a tie. Torin and the Snake, both in second with 5, and then Spark and Overkill, amazingly, with 0 votes. So a very, very high week this week for goals scored. We'll probably see these in the goal of the season montages that will be out in the next few weeks. But let's go ahead and watch it one final time.
When it hurts like this, we climb the greatest heights, jump down and have a fight, and that's all we'll ever like, but that can never change my mind. When it's good, it's amazing. When it's bad, it's uneasy. I wouldn't have it another way. There's no other way. When it hurts like this.
Oh my good god! If that's goal of the week, we're gonna put that. That is.
When it hurts like this. When it hurts like this. We hold each other.
And there we go, ladies and gents. That is the goal of the week. Ols actually messaged me after he scored that goal. I was at LAN with Senji and Boopy getting a McDonald's breakfast. And Ols comes into my DMs and like, Arch, I've peaked. This has got to be clip of the week. And I was like, mate, it's Sunday. We've already done the fail of the week for last week. So that was actually the final series of last week in week 8. So congratulations to him. And he has had to wait a week for this. So there we go. But into the fail of the week now. And this could be the reason why one team didn't make play-ins this week. And we'll just go ahead and play it.
There you go, shoot. Close.
Ball boost, that's right.
Oh, it's in!
What a shot!
There we go. That is Heki with a double tap into his own goal. Journeymen did win that game 3-1 and put a massive dent into Montbelliard's hopes. So he does win fail of the week. What do you think about that one, guys?
Oh, I mean, I just can't. Yeah. I mean, you know those goals. You know those goals when you score an own goal, but it's something that you can never do in the opposition's net. That's just how it feels. You're like, okay, so I can score a double in my own goal, but not in the opposition. It's just one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I was speechless by the clips of the week. I'm speechless about that too. Unbelievable from Heki, unbelievable.
Well, speaking of speechless, it's something you're not going to be right now because it is the Players of the Week. We are at the awards, and Barmanitan, take it away.
Here we go once again, always hoping to improve on the fails of the week with the Players of the Week, but these are your top performers of week number 9, the final week in Prospect. We start with our MVP. He was on earlier. He's here again. It's Seiso Speedy for the Mages, 559 points per game. He doesn't stop there. He gets 2.25 goals per game as well. Into the striker, it's Kairos Din for Micah Faction. They bomb out in the bottom 3 of their conference, but he still gets 75% shooting accuracy. Something to cheer about in the final week. Your playmaker is Diogako, also from the Mages. Had a great week, 1.25 assists per game for him. Finally, your savior, once again from the bottom 3 of this conference, it's Sammy for Gemini Storm, 2.25 saves per game.
As we head up and over to the Challenger tier, your MVP will be Small Panda with 645.5 points per game. Your finisher again with Small Panda, 3.5 goals per game. And your striker will be Charlie with 64.29% shooting accuracy. And your playmaker will be Epic Ninja with 2 assists per game. And your savior will be Andre with 3.13 saves per game.
Small Panda trying to get back up to his all-star ways after missing out for the first time last season. But into minor we go. Your MVP is Mickey Boy from Erebos with 476 points per game. Their first win of the season. Well done to him. Your finisher is Pulse. Shouted him out earlier. He's scoring goals for you, but despite their slightly lower expected finish, he got 2 goals per game. Your striker is Yo-Yo subbing in for Comet. 75% shooting accuracy. Great sub from him to get them up into the play-in spots. Playmaker is DP76 for overkill, 2 assists per game. Finally, it's your savior. He's been here all night. He's not shying away from the limelight at all as he gets 2.3 assists per game for Fearless Echo.
Let's go. And as we go over to the major tier, as your MVP will be crowned in week 9, Chrisiu. I probably said that wrong already, but 588.75 points per game.
Call him Chris.
Chris, there we go. Your finisher will be Pacey with 2.13 goals per game. Your striker, Wolfie, with 70% shooting accuracy. Your playmaker will be North with 1.5 assists per game. And Chris, 2.5 saves per game, being your savior in the major tier, week 9.
Into our second last tier of our last players of the week. It will be Elite, and our MVP is Rahu for, I think that is Asteroid, with 513 points per game. He also got finisher. A couple of players here getting MVP and finisher. He got 2.25 goals per game. Your striker is Heinz Ketchup for Chia Nina with 66% shooting accuracy. Playmaker is Roof. Asteroid apparently having a great week here. So you got 1.5 assists per game, and your savior is Entry. A little bit of a typo there, but that is indeed Entry. 2.5 saves per game for the Saudi Arabian.
And we head over to the highest tier of them all, the Premier tier. Your MVP will be HP with 577.75 points per game. Your finisher will be Crispy with 1.5 goals per game. Your striker, yet again, Crispy on it again with 50% shooting accuracy. Your playmaker will be Zeph with 2 assists per game. And HP makes a return on the savior with 3 saves per game.
Fortunately, HP's efforts weren't quite enough to keep Finale's hopes alive, but we go into the team of the week, and Avian gets the award for it, Orbit. They've done so well, going 7-1, and they'll have to prove us all wrong in the play-ins, as they can definitely still get a result. Your challenger player of the week is Tauren for Neptunium. They did unbelievably in this final week. 487 points per game is outrageous for him. Minor, your player of the week is iPoner for Overkill, 274 points per game. They go in as the top seed from Ignis, and they will be hoping for great things, especially from him. Major player of the week, it's Rapids for Thanatos. They move up for the first time from 5th into 4th. Played with FAs all week, and yet he still did amazingly. Your elite player of the week, it's JSW for Jaffa Cakes. Couldn't quite get up into the top 2 as they wanted, but they certainly threatened. They got some amazing results, especially against Phoenix. And finally, your premier player of the week is Crispy, going 4-0 for Vibrant, or Wild, as they are known sometimes. 548.5 points per game, 1.5 goals per game for him. Unbelievable stuff from him and from all 6. They performed so well in their final weekend. A lot of them have done really, really well in order to bring momentum forward into the play-ins and into the playoffs.
Beautiful, beautiful stats as we go to the Fantasy League standings. Your managers of the week in the Elite tier will be Yannick in first with 262 in the week. Will be Kebabs with 259 in second, and Sky in third with 255. Now, your players of the week who would have got you those points will be JSW in first with 88.75, Serve in second with 78.75, and Vlauns in third with 71.5. As we go to the manager standings, will be Axlos in first with a total of 2,011.5. In second, Archeon with 1,959.25. And in third place will be Darky with 1,950.5. But as we go over to the Premier tier, your managers of the week will be Old Hamsty in first with 183, Minty in second with 179.5, and Sky in third with 174.75. Now, the players that would have rallied you all of those points in first, Crispy with 58. In second will be Gek with 53.25, and Acidic in third with 49.25. And in the manager standings, in first will be Sky, appearing yet again with 1,034.25. Old Hamsty in second with 1,022.25. And in third place will be Andre with 948. As we go to the Prediction League standings, first off, in the Elite tier, your predictors of the week, Dehydration in first with 35 this week, Barmanatan in second with 25, and Archeon in third, just trailing behind by 1 with a total of 24. Your weekly correct scores, Dehydration in first, joint first actually, with Barmanatan, but this week he does top it off with 8, with Barmanatan with 6, and Andre technically third with 5. Your overall leaderboard will be Dehydration chilling in the first place position with 54, Barmanatan in second with 49, third place with Archeon with 43 points. And as we go to the Premier tier, your predictors of the week, in first place it is going to be myself with 17, Hanson in second with 13, and Dehydration on here even in the Premier tier in third with 12. Your weekly correct scores will be myself again in first place with 4, Dehydration in second with 3, and also Hanson with 3. We'll see. It will be just given to Dehydration. But your overall leaderboard, first place, it will be myself with 39, followed by Hanson in second with 37, and Archeon finishing up in third with 27.
Massive congratulations to our first 4 winners, being Axlos, Sky, Dehydration, and yourself. But the first time we've trialed mini games in the RSC, I think it's done very, very well, especially the Fantasy League, all 3 out. But I think we will move into our series of the week, Archeon, is that correct?
Yeah, just wanted to give Friday a big shout out for this sheet in the background as well. He's doing a lot of reconstruction behind the scenes with our sheets, and the mini game was partly his idea as well with the sheets as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the trial. We'll be looking to roll it out as soon as possible with improvements, and also to every tier next season. And we do have a lot more stuff coming next season, so stay tuned.
We absolutely do. So all of your winners doing really well there, and of course Friday carrying them all, allowing them all to flourish in that sense. But after all of those players of the week in Fantasy of the Week and Predictions of the Week, we have our series of the week. It is Iovi versus Jaffa Cakes, and I got to cast this one personally with Hops. And I'm so glad that I did, because this was an unbelievable series. We came in knowing that Jaffa Cakes still had a chance, and that Iovi were trying to push up to first and catch up to Nocturne. And in the end, Jaffa Cakes just proved to be too much for them, because they won the first 2 games. In that first game, the almost 5-minute overtime was absolutely unbelievable. Both teams going at each other, really tippity top of the elite tier, showing what the potential is. And if this is anything to show what the playoffs and play-ins could be like, I am so looking forward to it, because some of the quality on display in this series was just mind-blowing.
Okay, I'll step in then.
I was going to.
I'm having
again,
a chill in the background. But subscribe to RSC on YouTube. We've obviously got the Season 8 Premier Matches, Series of the Week, as we've just described. The RSCast gets edited in full and put on there, and obviously the brand new content that we are working on. We are also looking into off-season matches, such as donor games, and also getting PFAs involved and FAs as well, for show matches in the off-season to get them into the league, because obviously you can't join mid-season. But we move on to the other socials, and as we were talking about the Iovi Jaffa-Cates game, we've also got Oldham Stee running our TikTok, and he's also uploaded part of that series onto it. Some great clips on there, and obviously you can find us on TikTok and Instagram, Twitter at RSCEU for stream announcements, clips and fails, player and team of the week, and giveaways. But that's just about done it for us for week 9. I did rush off from work to get back here, and I always love the Mondays, especially after a work shift, to bring the recap to you guys. I hope you've enjoyed it too. I hope you two have enjoyed it in the background by Manitan and Buddha.
Yeah, it's always a blast. Same after week, I get rinsed for Fierce Alpha pronunciations, but that's what I'm here for, just to bring a little bit of a laugh. But it's always a pleasure and it's always a fun one, and I can't wait to see the prospect and challenges. Well, just prove my predictions wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to everyone involved in playing, in being staff, in joining the mini games, in whatever you were doing for an absolutely wonderful league play yet again. We rounded out with our final recap. It's a great place to be here, and as the same as Buddha, I can't wait for everything to go wrong in my predictions.
Yeah, and we've got the 3-week showpiece event now, play-ins and playoffs. We are streaming for the next 21 days. 21 days, guys. So
unbelievable.
Join our streams, follow us, subscribe. Please just share. Have us on in the background just for view accounts. That's the only way we'll improve, get rated, get noticed.
Word of mouth.
Yeah. Also, a special thank you from the admins for playing this season. Unfortunately, for the people who didn't make playoffs, this is the end of your road. Thank you so much for competing, though, because this has been the closest it's ever been. And yeah, I just can't wait to get back here next week and predict the minor and major and also have the end of season awards for Prospect and Challenger, so you don't want to miss that one. But for now, I'm going to go to sleep. Actually, no, I'm going to get the first of our 21 streams scheduled for tomorrow night. It is the play-ins back here. And what's the first game, Bam?
Oh, oh dear.
Let's just get our brackets up.
Pyromancers Crusaders?
Pyromancers Crusaders. We'll be back.
No, that's
here.
Challenger. No, that's not. Orbit Bing. Okay, there we go.
Orbit Bing. We'll be back here tomorrow with Orbit Bing at 7 p.m. GMT, 8 p.m. CET, and we hope you don't miss it. It's all from us, and good night.
Good night.
Good morning.
Caught up in the matrix, have to keep waiting.